53102 is the number for your comments. Now, our next guests were fined €2,000 last week by the National Education Welfare Board. They'd been taken to court on a charge of failing to cause two of their children to attend primary school. Monica O'Connor, Eddie O'Neill, thank you very much for taking the time to join us. You have how many children?
6.
And have all of them been homeschooled?
Yes.
Why?
Well, we just find it works very well for us. We were lucky enough to meet somebody in the first year of a first child's life who was home educating, and we just thought that makes so much sense. I mean, when you like being with your children, home education works really well. You go from kind of seeing a baby learn to walk at their own pace, talk at their own pace, and we didn't really see why learning to read and write and add had to come at any other pace than the child's pace. And it proved to be that they just learned very naturally, very organically, and without sort of a programme of instruction, I suppose.
And what age are your children?
They're 5, 9, 12, 19, 17 and 26.
Okay. The older 3, did they even go to secondary school?
2 of them did a couple of years of secondary school and did their leaving cert. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So went into first year, then did transition, and so the first guy did almost 4 years of secondary. The next guy did 2.5 years of secondary. So no junior certs, but leaving certs.
And do you intend the younger children to do the same when they get to that age?
It'll very much vary, Matt, from child to child. Like the third guy, he's just finished first year of DIT, doing a classical music degree there. No primary school, no secondary school, no leaving cert. 1 year at an institute of further education and got 5. Was told if he got 5 out of 8 distinctions, he'd have his place in DIT. On the basis of his audition and entrance exam, we figure it's the first exam he ever did, and he was 16 3/4 doing that entrance exam for DIT. And he was the only one in his class who got 8 out of 8 distinctions, and he's just finished first year now, and he's still only 17.
And who does the teaching at home? Do both of you do it?
That's the thing. It's not really teaching. It's really learning. It's getting out of the children's way to allow them to learn. And stuff comes up. And like, for example, Oren, one of the things I found that I learned as a home educating parent was the big lads love soccer. And before they'd go out and play a soccer match, they'd come up with these teams and they'd write out their teams so that when they're playing, they're talking to themselves about who's the player and Ronaldo's passing to Rooney and all of that.
It could be 1-on-1 now, Matt.
It could be one, yeah, but they still have to spend 20 minutes writing out the team beforehand. And when Oren was about 9, he was 8, I'd say, about 8, he wanted to play soccer. And to get involved, he needed to know how to spell Ronaldo, and he needed to know how to spell gigs and all those words, So in about 10 days, he went from not being able to read to about being able to read, because it was so important to him. It was a desire that he had to get this done, to learn how to read. And so it happened. And that's the way it happened for him.
But yet, for lots of children, what about the social element of school as well as the learning? Because, that's where most children tend to make their friends, or they get involved in the school football team, and social events all tend to revolve around the school. So do they miss out on that?
I wouldn't think so. Now, Maura Mallarney, who had a large family, 9 or 10 children, and she sent them all to school eventually, but a bit later than general into primary. And she says, unless you're going to join a religious order or the army, you never have to think of yourself as one of a group of 30 again after school. It's a completely unnatural situation to socialise. I don't know about you, Matt, but I don't socialise in groups of 30 now that I'm an adult and have my choice to do it. I no longer socialise in groups like that. And the socialisation that takes place in school is actually a big reason why a lot of families actually choose home education, because of the things that happen in large periods. I'll be 46 next week, and I don't only socialise with 46-year-olds. That's the other thing about school. We set up this situation where you must be with your own peer group, and that's not where most people have their friends. I mean, people have a range of and ages, and that's what you find if you come to home education gatherings. You will find that the children easily chat to adults, chat to younger children. That's one of the beautiful things that is the care that people have towards younger members of the community as well. That
but do you form a community of home educated children? Do they end up going to functions where they meet similar children?
Well, there is a home education network. We have a conference every year, and we have localised gatherings. I mean, they're very informal, and some families are half in school and some are out. Do you know what I mean? It all depends. It's very much dependent on what suits each child at each time.
If you've been doing this for years, why did the National Education Welfare Board decide to go after you, bring you to court and have you fined?
We'd love to know the answer to that question, Matt, actually.
Yeah.
The Constitution of Ireland, fortunately, guarantees the family as the prime educator of the child, and says that the family has the right to decide how education takes place and has the right, it's explicit that you have a right to home educate. And it says that the state shall not force or oblige parents to send a child to any school, yet what we're convicted of is failure to cause. Because of our, we disagree with the system of registration at the moment, which means that we would have to be assessed. So what the NEWB would like us to do is sign an application form, allow them to come in and say we're good enough or not good enough to have our constitutional right. And I'm not a legal person, but my understanding of the Constitution is it applies to all the citizens of Ireland. You have the right, and nobody should have the right to tell you you don't have the right, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. So they took you. Did you try and argue with them not to go to court on the basis that you've been doing this? Why didn't you just register as home educators?
Well, you see, we had an option. It's about, like, for us, it's about the family. We feel our family's been attacked. Like, we have a right, a constitutional right to do this. Like, it's very difficult to try and explain it when we talk about, like, I went in to watch the match the other day, the Ireland, Faroe Islands match, and it was great, and we were all excited because it was a goal early, and then after a while,
it petered out,
and I got really. And then someone said after about 35 minutes, when the match was getting really boring, said, "Eddie, I heard you on the radio there, but I haven't a fucking clue what you're talking about." Like, so I said, "Well, would you like to hear what I'm talking about?" I said, "Yeah, actually, might as well, because this match is brutal, like, you know." And then when I explained it to them, they said, "Let's go back and watch the match." Like, so they just. Like, when you talk about constitution, people just switch off. And for my mother, I was trying to explain it to my mother, and so we feel it's an attack on our family. And it's like, the explanation I gave was, it's like Little House on the Prairie, where Charles and Caroline are there with their children in their little house, and they're being attacked by outlaws or something. But what you do is you protect your family. So we think a civil servant got a group of solicitors to send us a summons to try and get us to register. So
did you have a bad experience at school yourself at any stage?
No, I liked it. I enjoyed the crack, but I found it very boring, and it was curtailed our freedom, you know.
What about you?
Well,
I loved school. I was a very good student in St Mary's in Arklow, yeah. And he's a secondary school teacher, so he hasn't kind of strayed too far from school.
Sorry, you are a teacher now?
He's a secondary school teacher.
So you're teaching other
I'm the only one who goes to school in our
children.
house. Yes.
The state,
and yet you wouldn't put your own children into secondary school.
It works for us. It's our
Some of them have gone to secondary school.
Some of them gone to, yeah.
What age is your eldest?
26.
If he had children, do you think would he send them to school or home education?
He's 26 now.
I know, but I'm just asking you, do you think, is he happy that he went through the home education system, or would he rebel against you when it comes to his own children?
In transition year he had to do Toastmasters, and he did choose home education as a topic, and he said it doesn't work for everybody, but I'm really glad I had the choice, and he perceived it as his choice. And he was home. He lives in Maui. He works in the bar of a golf club in Hawaii, and he was home last November, 12 months, and he said, I was saying to him, you know, I was having one of those fits that you get with your oldest child. You kind of go, we were only experimenting, and did we do all right, babe? And he said, ma'am, I live in Hawaii.
Well, can I ask you though, if one of your younger children turned around and said, Mammy, Daddy, I want to go to a school, I don't want to be here at home every day, I want to go to school, would you accommodate them?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, I mean, we'd figure out what it was they were looking for, and see if their idea of what school was what they were looking for. But absolutely, it's not that we're anti-school. It's certainly not like that. It's just that for us, we really enjoy being with our kids. They enjoy being at home and learning, and they have so many questions. Like, a lot of people think that you're sitting down from 9 till 3, and you don't need to do that at all. Like, literally, the information is picked up really informally. They ask so many questions, and it's not like you need to know the answers, because thank God there's Google, and you can, find out a lot of information.
Books? Do you get the books that they would have in school if they were in school?
I tell you what, I'll have to confess that a couple of years we've tried that, and I've gone and bought the actual curriculum books, and the boys, to kind of please me, have gone along and done a few bits, and then said, Ma'am, they're so boring, we're not going to use those texts.
So what do you do?
You get up in the morning and you live your life, I suppose. Like, that they're interested in stuff. Most of them play music, and they read voraciously without having been taught to read.
Just today.
Okay.
What did you do today with them?
Well, we were coming to Dublin to see you.
All right, last Friday.
Last Friday the phone didn't stop. Sure.
All right, give it a typical day.
A typical day. Okay, you get up and have your breakfast. You feed the dog. You feed the cat. You bring in sticks if it's winter time. Everyone has a chore or something to do. You might have to water the tunnel, or pick a few veg, or pull a few weeds, or something like that.
Prairie, yeah.
See where we're coming from here. So one of them plays the trombone, one of them plays a piano, play violin. So you practice your music. You might do a drawing. You might. They're really into this game Yu-Gi-Oh, this card game, and so they challenge each other. They might have a game of chess. You know, someone will say, "Ma'am, I want to bake something," so they get in and do a bit of that. It's very free flowing.
And they learn how to read. They learn how to write. They just learn.
They pick all that up because it's around the place.
They just do it. Yeah.
Do you have television? Well, you do to watch the football on Friday night. Do you let them watch television?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you let them use iPods or things like that?
Absolutely. Yeah. Sure. It's all good. Like, you just whatever works. It's excess. If they were spending all day watching television, that's a different thing. You know. You can learn from television, you can learn from books, you learn from listening to adults in conversation and listening to people, and, you know, they learn, they just...
Final thing, so, and this is that if you've been fined €2,000 by the National Education Welfare Board, does that mean that they're now requiring you to put the children into primary school?
We haven't actually got a copy of the court order yet, but as far as we know, it's a fine, and then...
You've 180 days to pay it, and...
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah, but paying the fine is one thing, but are they going to insist that you have to put the children into school now?
But the Constitution says that the state shall not oblige parents to send their children to school. It's crystal clear. Article 42(2), I think, but it's in there somewhere.
Can I say one other thing, just
yes.
way over time, just
Sorry,
before
Matt.
I finish out? There are some people, though, who feel that you're slighting them by saying that you're doing things better than those who send their children to school.
No, we're not. Like, I get frustrated. For us, it works. It's our way of doing it. Like, let me say,
we haven't come out school bashing.
Like, I support Leeds United. It doesn't mean I'm against Barcelona or against AC Milan or against Arsenal. Like, I support home education. It doesn't mean I'm against technical schools or Montessori schools or Gael schools or anything like that.
Or secondary schools like the one that you teach.
Or whatever.
All right.
Absolutely.
We better leave it there. Eddie O'Neill and Monica O'Connor, thank you both very much for taking the time to join us.